Hello everyone and welcome to today's class in which we'll be talking about integrated project delivery. So, integrated project delivery is one of the least common delivery methods in the market because of, there are several reasons that I will discuss during the lecture. But the most important of all is the resistance to change because it is significantly different from other types of delivery methods. Okay, so it has a lot of benefits. It is expected to grow in near future, and it is growing, but it is still not really accepted by many industry and professional people. So let's watch a quick video. 2 minutes and 15 seconds, which nicely explains the IPD and some of the advantages it has.
In North America, small and large building and construction projects alike often do not finish on time or on budget. In the United States, for example, delays and cost overruns affect nearly 1 in every 3 projects. But there is a better way to approach design and construction that can save resources, time, and money. It can also improve the quality, comfort, and environmental profile of a building during its entire life cycle. The idea is to involve the project team in all stages of a construction project, from design to delivery. To understand the advantages, let's look at the traditional design, bid, and build approach. Here, an architect designs a building with expert input. Then, contractors bid for the opportunity to build it. The successful bidder oversees the construction, and building operators manage it. But this conventional assembly line approach can have plenty of hidden problems. For one, conceptual or design flaws can become apparent during the construction phase. Fixing those mistakes can derail the production schedule and add to costs. Under serious financial pressure, a project may fall short of its original goals on performance and sustainability. Now, consider a more integrated design and delivery approach. Here, the client, the design team, the construction professionals, and the building operator collaborate from conception to completion of the project. Ideally, even before the design stage, these key stakeholders agree on shared values and goals and technical specifications for the project. They develop a common business model and perhaps even a common contract structure in which they all share both responsibility and reward for success. The result is a project that is likely to run more smoothly, be more efficient and profitable, and have a lower impact on the environment. You too can help build efficient, healthy, and sustainable buildings for our communities in North America and our planet. Learn more about integrated design and delivery by visiting the Commission for Environmental Cooperation's website.
All right. Yeah. So what is integrated project delivery, or IPD? It is a type of delivery method in which there is one agreement, which could be also called multi-party agreement. So there is only a single contract, and all the parties are involved in that contract. So it's not a two-sided contract. It's a multiple or multi-party agreement. The term used to describe this type of contract is relational. It means it talks about how the parties are related. It is not transactional, okay? So in traditional contracting has a transactional approach, like who should do what and what are the risks that each party should carry, what are the rewards, or where do the rewards go to which party will win the rewards, whereas here it is relational. So it's like a family who decide to build a building, a facility, a road, okay, all together, and share whatever risk is on that project together, and whatever reward that we'll get together, also share the responsibilities. Okay, so it is a very high level of collaboration. There is a very high level of collaboration in IPD. That's the essence of IPD. That's the most important requirement and the most important characteristic of IPD. So, the early results are limited, but most owners who have used the multi-party contract or IPD, they have reported that they have gotten a better value. Okay, so IPD will lead to cost savings, will lead to saving time. Why it is not so common, I will talk about it in a little bit. So yeah, it is the least common delivery method, but considering its multiple advantages, it is expected to grow in future. So technically, when we are doing a construction project, there could be different levels of collaboration, from minimal collaboration to excellent and the highest level of collaboration. In level 1, typical collaboration, you don't necessarily have to have IPD. So we're talking in general. We're not focusing about IPD. We're talking about the concept of collaboration. Collaboration could happen at different levels. So level 1 is typical collaboration, in which you could, examples of which could be CMAR, because in that type of contracting, as we learned in previous lectures, the construction manager connects the design and the construction team and the owner, and tries to facilitate the communication between the three parties, and increase the collaboration. Design build is where the designer and constructor is the same firm, the same company. So there is a lot of link, there is a lot of connection between the design and construction team, and the culture of blaming one another or shifting the risk or blame to one another is reduced. In level 2, in enhanced collaboration, you could apply IPD, but you don't necessarily call it IPD, okay? So it's based on early involvement of the main trades, which are the contractor, designer, the owner, in the contract co-location of project team members. So it's based on a big room philosophy. They have performance-based incentives. They have performance goals. Project goals are identified collaboratively, and the team works together to maximize collaboration. But it's not necessarily IPD. Okay, you just try to take one more step and to compared with level 1, and by involving all the parties in most of the decisions you make. Okay, but in level 3, which is the highest level of collaboration, collaboration is in fact required. That's one of the musts of any decision you make throughout the project. It's based on a multi-party contract. Okay, so you would use IPD here. So these collaborations, these levels of collaboration, especially level 1 and level 2, could be implemented without necessarily calling the project IPD. But if you have one contract, and if all the project players decide to share the responsibility, risks, and rewards, then that is technically an IPD project. Nice picture here, nice infographic maybe. As you can see here, in level 1, which is typical collaboration, level 2 is enhanced collaboration, and level 3 would be required collaboration. So in the first row, you see how the amount of collaboration changes from lower to higher. So level 3 represents the highest level of collaboration. Is the philosophy or the delivery method? Yeah, this is what I was saying earlier. in level 1 and level 2, it is not a delivery method. It's only a philosophy. It's only a culture. It's only a type of environment that can be established in the project. But level 3, in which you have a contract which is based on relations rather than transactions, it is now called, or it can be called, an integrated project delivery. So there are also other names for level 2 and level 3. For level 2, which is not really IPD, people call it IPD-ish, IPD light, or non-multi-party, or hybrid IPD, okay? And there are reasons for that, because some people try to make some modifications on IPD, especially in terms of waiving the right to sue against one another, which which limits you. I will talk about it in more details, but that is one of the requirements of IPD, that people involved in the project cannot sue against one another. So some people would like to have IPD, but would like to modify it to shape it in the way they feel that works for them. So level 2 would fit them. So, but in level 3, what are the other names? Multi-party contracting, pure IPD, relational contracting, alliancing, lean project delivery system. Okay, so these are the names that represent the IPD as a delivery method. So delivery approaches for level 1, 2, 1 and 2, I mean, if you want to have a considerable level of collaboration, you would go with CMAR or design build. Okay, obviously design bid build, in which separate contracts are made between the owner and designer, and also the owner and constructor, does not create an environment that in which collaboration could be really established. So if you're looking for appropriate levels of collaboration, you would go with CMAR or design build. But if collaboration is the essence of your project delivery and you want to maximize it, you would go with integrated project delivery, or IPD. Okay, so multi-party contract or relational contract. Let's see. This slide has a lot of information. First part asks which project players are involved in a multi-prime contract. In a multi-prime contract, the main project players, which are always the owner, the designer, and constructor or contractor, all sign a single contract together. Okay, although not required, it is common to have other key members. Yeah, collaboration is so important that not only the contractor, but also some of the prime, subcontractors or trade contractors or suppliers or design consultants would be invited when important decisions are being made. What approach is used to handle risks? So, the way people approach risk in an IPD project versus traditional or other types of delivery methods. In other types, people try to shift the risk to one another, to shift the blame to one another, and to carry as least the lowest amount of risk they can. Okay, because the higher risk you carry, you are exposing yourself to losing money and headaches. So in IPD, such culture does not exist. All the people work together. Okay, they say, okay, we need to reduce the risk for the entire project, not for our stakeholders, not for only for our side. Okay, so It is a collaborative effort to minimize the risk at project level, not at a company level. That is the biggest difference that impacts many behaviors, and thinking about the project. So, how is the IPD contract language different from other types of contract? Yeah, it contains in the contract of in an IPD contract, you would see the terms that are trying to maximize collaboration, like this decision should be made collaboratively. All the project players should be informed. We need to follow an open book, okay? Terms like this, they are many statements in such a contract, an IPD contract, are trying to assist and facilitate collaboration throughout the project. What is a significant difference between IPD contracts and other contracts in terms of liability? So this is new. Yeah, in IPD it is required to sign a waiver of liability. Okay, it means all the parties accept that they will have limited expectations from one another. They're like a family, and it means they will not sue one another. Okay, which is a big deal. Maybe that's one of the reasons, one of the main reasons IPD is still not very popular, because in many IPD projects it is a requirement to sign that you will not sue other project players. So even if they screw something, you have already signed that you won't sue against them. So you have to carry the risk of that. So you remember I said many companies or owners and contractors do IPD-ish, or the level 2 of collaboration. It means they don't necessarily call it IPD. This is one of the main reasons, because they want to be able to control one another, and they want to keep the incentives of project players high, to avoid making mistakes. IPD cannot be easily established and applied with just any team or any way of thinking. IPD requires very responsible people who think about the project interests, who have good communication and good relation with one another, and who don't try to to shift the responsibility, the risk to one another. So that might look ideal or super optimistic, but we have a lot of examples of such teams that are doing IPD, and they are super successful. Excuse me. So, what reimbursement method is commonly used with IPD? In IPD, target price. Why target price? Remember what was unique about target price. That was the only reimbursement method in which designers were involved. And here in IPD, we need everybody on the team to be involved. That's why we need to take target price, we need to use it as the reimbursement method. All right, so there are some contractual principles in IPD that we need to stick with. Number one, key participants bound together as equals, okay? It is not like that one party is overseeing or, is on top of another party, or one party is reporting to the other party. No, they are together at the same level, and they are working together at all times. The owner, designer, and contractor, or broader group, a contractually defined relationship as equals, okay? So that should be stated in the contract, so everybody will be on the same page that they are all at equal levels, and they are given equal power in making decisions. Well, obviously, someone should make the final decision, but it means they should be involved in all decision makings and in meetings in big rooms. Okay, so shared financial risk and reward based on project outcome is the second contractual principle for IPD. It means they tie the fiscal risk and reward to overall project outcomes. Okay, this encourages people to think about the best interest of the project and not their own interest. Okay, which makes a big difference in the way people think and the way people behave. So liability waivers between key participants. Yeah. This waiving the right to sue against one another or each other creates a culture in which when something bad happens to the project, everybody is thinking about the solution, not who caused this. Okay, so instead of trying to find who to put the blame on, everybody will work together, because either way someone screwed something, but we have promised that we are not suing against anyone here. So your incentive to find the person at fault is lower. Instead, all the team are focused on finding the solution. So how can we get out of this situation? Okay, that is the center of attention in an IPD project. Fiscal transparency between the participants. Yeah, so it's totally open book environment, and all the teams are welcome to review the expenditures and the costs and the savings and what is going on financially on the project. That information is available to all project players. So early involvement of participants is very important. Actually, if you don't do that, the advantages of IPD will erode. If the basis of IPD is the basis of it, the essence of it is collaboration, and the basis of collaboration is early involvement, because some of the most important decisions are made upfront or in early stages of the project. So in order to enable IPD, in order to take advantage of its benefits, you have to bring everybody on board early and ask for their feedback, about any decisions you make upfront. Intensified design. So this happens because all the project players could have inputs when the design is happening. This is similar to design build, as you know, or in fast tracking, which could be also applied in CMAR. But here it's even the level of involvement is even higher, because you could even bring some of the trade contractors or suppliers to the board and ask them, okay, how should I design so you guys will have an easier job, or you could do your job faster, or with less money. It would be less expensive for the project. So then the supplier and some of the trade contractors could have some inputs that could be reflected on the design. So this is not the case even in CMAR or even in design build. That does not normally happen. Jointly develop project target criteria. Yeah, so in order to incentivize all the people on the project to do their job focused on the interest of the project, some project performance criteria should be clearly stated to the team, and that should be defined according to the inputs, support, and buy-ins of all the key personnel, all the key participants of the project. It means when they are identifying the goals, even in the very first steps, very early stages of the project, they will ask everybody, what are our goals? For example, we want to have 0 accidents, 0 injuries. We want to we are committed to finish the project at by this amount of time, but we will do our best to finish it earlier than that, or we will do our best to have some savings in this project. So they identify some goals, and then all the team will work together to make those goals happen. To reach to those goals. So behavioral principles. Yeah, IPD. In IPD, relationships and communication. Good relationship and good communication goes a very, very long way. So, in order to establish good communication, good relations between the key project players and all the project players, you need to, number 1, have mutual respect and trust. And these are 2 items. Respect and trust are different items. We need both of them. In this type of delivery method, we need deep appreciation of the motivation and concerns. Okay, so if another party has some concerns, first of all, they should feel that if they let other project players know about it, they will buy that. Okay, and that culture should be established, that people talk about their concerns on the project, people talk about how they can, or their feedback, their inputs. For example, people could suggest, let's do it this way, so I could do my part with, less expensively. With lower amount of money, I can do that if you do that, okay? And sometimes the second person involved, they could easily do that. They could easily make a change in the way they wanted to do the job. So teamwork, the team players are working together, finding solutions. And for that, mutual respect is very important. If a stubborn person who forces his decisions to others will ruin the culture of IPD. Or a person who cannot trust other people, or a person who breaks the trust, who makes promises and then breaks them, will ruin the culture of IPD, which is the collaboration culture. So some specific behaviors are required in this type of delivery method throughout the project time. And without them, IPD, the essence of IPD, which is collaboration, will die gradually. So, willingness to collaborate, yeah. Here, IPD is a team game, okay? All the people involved, all the parties involved should be willing to work with others. So, if you are a person who wants to make a decision independently, and you insist on doing what you had in mind, any decision you had in mind, you're not flexible. You're not that flexible to make any changes in your decisions, or you try to force your what you think is right to others. Then you should not go with IPD. You are not welcome in IPD with that type of thinking. In IPD, you should be willing, you should be open to making changes. So sometimes that change could, make things a little more difficult for you, but it would help the project, or it would significantly help other project players. So you take the trouble you you know, accept working harder or putting more time. So in return, the project could be you know, could be progressed faster or with less expenses. This is the culture that is required in IPD. Open communication. We need open and honest communication. Honesty is always important in any delivery methods, but here it is even more important because people are trusting you a lot. People have committed that they won't sue against you. So their hands are tied. They can just trust you, and you need for that you have to be really honest, okay? And you know, honesty, once it is broken, it is very, very difficult to establish trust environment on the project. So, other things, shared risk and reward is another concept. All the team work together. If they win, they share it together. If there is some risk, which always is, if something goes wrong, then they cannot point to one another that you did this or you caused this. Now you have to, you have to carry the consequences. Now that type of culture does not exist here in IPD. So again, it's based on project's best interest and not the stakeholders or a firm, which could be a designer or contractor best interest. Such a culture is not for IPD. So target price again works best because you would take designers, you would bring them to the table, and they could have inputs in many decisions, while designers always actually they decide for the rest of the team directly or indirectly. But now they should be also involved in the risks. Okay, it means if the construction team made a mistake, if those team made a mistake, then designers cannot say, okay, you made this, you screwed this. No, they say, okay, make some changes so we might be able to keep what you have built, okay, with minimal changes, with minimal redo of the job, okay? So they try to support one another. Yeah, so one of the most important advantages, if I ask you in quizzes or if I ask you in exams, what is one of the most important advantages of IPD for the owner? Okay, for the owner. Why would an owner would like IPD? Well, obviously, most of the time it creates more value by shortening the project and by making it possible to finish the project at a lower cost. But how does that happen? How does it increase the cost? Yes, it shrinks the project duration, but another factor is eliminating the need for redundant contingencies. So in a normal or in a traditional, let's say, type of environment, you would see multiple contingencies. You have design contingencies, construction contingencies, so you have to set aside money for different problems, and many times the owner should think that they can have that amount of money ready before they decide to start a project. In IPD, we don't have different types of contingencies for different people involved. You just have a single pool of contingency, and if anything goes wrong, you would refer to that and you would take care of the expenses. So this creates a lot less pressure, financial pressure, on the owner because there are not so many contingencies involved. So The pooling of teams contingency along with sharing of the unspent pooled contingency leads to participants' profit. I mean, uh, and looking at least a portion of the participants' profits to the project's overall target price provides significant incentives for the team to work together. Okay, because they know if they don't spend the contingencies, everyone will be rewarded for that. So they have a lot of incentives. So, defining and typical characteristics of IPD. Defining characteristic is the use of multi-party contract. Okay, if you have a multi-party contract, what does that mean? It means you have a single contract in which all the parties, are involved and they should sign it. Then that is IPD. Okay, that is not IPD-ish. That is IPD. That is the defining characteristic of IPD. But some typical characteristics of IPD that happen most of the time are fast tracking. It means design and construction could happen together or simultaneously. Early involvement of the project players. You would bring everybody on board early, including it could be including suppliers and subs. Okay, it's not a requirement, but that increases the level of involvement. Collaborative decision making. So you cannot say one person is above another person, or people are considered equal. They can all have their inputs in the decisions that are made for the project. The use of BIM technology. BIM is a very useful tool for IPD for many reasons. Most important of which is that BIM enables the project players to share the information digitally in real time. Okay, so it facilitates the culture of open book. Okay, transparency of the information between the project players, or involving everybody in making any decision. If you're familiar with BIM, you know that once you make a decision, once you make a change on the project documents, including drawings, plans and specifications, or contracts, or whatever change you make, everybody could be informed about it in real time. I mean, in less than a second, any change that is made on the project is, will be observed by all project players. So this makes IPD a great tool for, this makes BIM a great tool for integrated project delivery. Another great tool for IPD would be lean construction, and we have talked about lean before. You guys are familiar with the concept of lean. So can you think why lean is a great tool for IPD? So in lean thinking, in lean delivery method, the focus of the project is to maximizing values and minimizing the wastes. Okay, and you remember, waste here does not mean necessarily or only material waste, but we have 7 types of wastes. So in lean, project interests is preferred to self-interest. Okay, collaboration should happen at all levels from the early stages of the project throughout the entire duration of project. This is what IPD wants. Okay, in fact, lean facilitates IPD by creating a formula, a detailed a detailed recipe of how IPD could be implemented. Yeah, IPD is a general concept. It's when all of the parties have one contract, but how to get the job done, right? How to maximize collaboration, how to bring all the people on board. That's what Lean does. Lean will tell you step by step what to do in each stage of the project, okay? From the early meetings to the commissioning and, substantial completion. Lean has some tools like just-in-time delivery, such as Kaizen, such as Six Sigma, and many other different tools that Lean would add to the project. Okay, so I would definitely encourage you to learn more about Lean. Lean, to implement Lean method, you do not necessarily have to have IPD delivery method. In fact, Lean could be implemented in any delivery method, even design bid build, which is the most traditional way of project delivery. You can still have Lean principles, but they work best and they serve best to integrated project delivery. So, and obviously, shared financial risk and rewards is another typical characteristic of IPD. So I would stop this lecture here and I will see you all next time.